refreshing. Welcome back to part 2 of Ask the King, episode 27 for August 23rd, 2012. We'll get right into it because I have way too many questions. I took a little bit too long with part 1, let's put it that way. Alright. Next question. Greetings, Phil. I was wondering if you've been following along with the recent news on the Onlive gaming system and how the company had to be acquired by another company in order to survive. The online company is now in a form of bankruptcy. What are your thoughts? And that's from XYI360. Now, first of all, the Onlive gaming system. What is it? It's a system that was released in 2010 that is a little miniature game system. I actually have one in the other room, but I forgot to bring it in. I was going to show it to everyone. And it's a revolutionary concept. What they wanted to do was make it so that you don't have to buy retail copies of games anymore. What you do is you hook this little sucker up to the internet and also to your TV. And what it does is you're able to actually buy streaming versions of games through this system and play them in high definition on your TV. Sounds like a revolutionary concept, and this might even be the future. Let's face it, a lot of games are digital downloads today. But this game doesn't want it to be a download, it wants it to be streamed. So you can literally play anything you want live, and that's why it's called Onlive. Well, here's the thing. A fan of mine actually sent me this console in 2010 to demo it, and unfortunately, it didn't work. Like, I hooked it up to my internet, and as I was playing, it was constantly crapping out on me. I'd be right in the middle of a game, thing would lock up, it would say that the internet connectivity is bad. Now, I'm not one to say that I have the best internet. I know for a fact, especially when I play fighting games, this is a factor where I have lag and stuff. But for the most part, I'm able to play most major video games online, outside of maybe, say, fighting games. And my internet, I know for a fact, is the absolute fastest in my area. I actually pay extra every month because I get a boosting service that boosts the speed. So the fact that this thing didn't work with my internet and that it was crapping out and conking out says something about the service. Again, I tried it in 2011 and had the same results. So I gave it 2 shots, and within the year that I gave it 2 shots, the thing never improved. It just had problems nonstop, and I couldn't play games on it. And that's kind of why I've never even used it to do a playthrough. It would not be worth it because it looks like it's going to crap out on me. So all that being said, what I really feel the problem is that it's the infrastructure of the internet in the United States. In Japan, the actual internet infrastructure, meaning the actual physical lines that they use to run the internet through the country, is owned by the country of Japan. It's government run, and therefore it's all extremely high quality. Now keep in mind, the people who live there are paying for that with their taxes, but they have superb internet. In fact, it's known that it's probably some, if not the best internet in the world. And that's why when they design fighting games like Street Fighter 4 to be played online, it works. It actually, you can play Street Fighter 4 online with no lag in Japan because the infrastructure is government owned and regulated. In America, we believe in the almighty dollar and capitalism and free market. And therefore, we don't want our internet to be owned by the government. But because of that, you have these companies who are competing with each other, and unfortunately, they have no real motivation to improve the infrastructure of the internet. Because let's face it, the common internet user doesn't give a shit if you have ridiculous speeds on the internet. The common internet user has a couple devices connected to the internet at all times. They browse the web, they get emails and texts through their iPhones or whatever, their iPads. They're not doing high quality streaming. They're not trying to play video games online competitively with other people. That's still, it's a growing audience, but it's still a small portion of the customer base, and therefore there is no motivation for these companies to improve the quality of the internet in the United States. I'm sure it would be a massive cost and undertaking to completely redo the infrastructure of the internet in the United States. So Onlive, although it's a great idea, really isn't being sold in the market where it would succeed. It needs to be sold somewhere like Japan, where people have the kind of infrastructure of the internet that would support it. Right now, and keep in mind, my internet is probably better than 90% of the people in the United States. So that means only 10% of the people in the United States who have internet better than me could even use the system properly. That's why it's failing. That's why I really feel that, unfortunately, these guys are in dire straits financially. They had a great idea, but they didn't properly test the internet to see who could realistically use this system, and that's why it's failing. Next question. What is your opinion on the PS Vita so far? It seems that ever since the release, not a single title announced that is actually exciting has been well, he worded that wrong. He's basically saying there's no exciting titles that have been announced right now. In Japan, they're still actually pumping out new titles for the PSP. Now they're announcing there's going to be a firmware update to play PS1 classics on the PS Vita. It's good and all, but how about some new games? It seems that if new hardware is released these days, they always try to sell old things to be played on new systems, and that's from Zorakun. This is exactly what I was saying when the PS Vita came out. I said, really look at the lineup. You've got Uncharted, you've got a bunch of ports of other games that really, is that a killer app? Am I dying to run out and buy Mod Nation Racers again? You know what I mean? And then there have been a couple unique titles like Resistance Fall of Man, or not, I don't know if it's called Fall of Man. No, I think it's Burning Skies. Whatever the Resistance game was, it got horrible reviews. People said it sucked. The game actually is really bad. And even games like Gravity Rush, which are independent games just for the Vita, that have gotten great reviews haven't necessarily sold very well because people just don't feel there's enough killer apps to buy this system. You can't release hardware without great software. I don't know how many times I've had to say this in the past decade. It seems like every major console release when it comes out only has like one game that people want to play. What the fuck is your problem? Why can't you release your console with games people want to play? After I played Uncharted, I have not played another PS Vita game. I tried Mod Nation Racers, I was like, it's not that good. I actually bought Gravity Rush and Resistance, and I'm just not motivated to play them. Right now, you want to know what I'm playing for handhelds? I'm playing Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers 2 on 3DS. It's a classic, it's classic side-scrolling gameplay. I know I can trust in it to be a good game. It's addictive and it's fun, and that's the kind of stuff I want to play. After that, I'll probably go back to Resident Evil Revelations, which is also on the 3DS. And I'll admit, I played it for a while, and then I put it off for a couple months, but I'm thinking of going back to it. So, you know what I mean? You have to have games that people want to play. There are just no games on the Vita that people are dying to play, and so it's failing miserably. And I get the feeling that something's going to have to be done, because this is now the second system, really. The PSP didn't do too well in the US either. So it's really funny that Sony's repeatedly releasing these handhelds without enough support to really make them succeed. It's foolish. Next question from Krakus Lim 89. He says, Phil, how's your back doing? I remember a while ago that you said you might have surgery on it. How's it going with that? Is it a money problem? Are you waiting for extended downtime because you're concerned about getting an operation? So basically, he's really interested in what's going on with my back situation. For those of you who don't know, I have a serious back injury, a severely herniated disc in my lower back. And I've had this since 2008, or late 2007, 2008. And I've had to adjust my life significantly because of it. And it came to a point where I was actually in a lot of pain all the time. And there is a surgery that I could get on my back that would basically try to repair the disc and or fuse my spine where the disc is. But the number one, the surgery is risky, very risky. Number two, even if the surgery is successful, there's no guarantee that it will do anything. It's actually hit or miss. Some people are without pain forever. Some people are without pain for a short while and then it comes back. Some people end up being in worse pain. I'm not kidding you. It's that much of a risk. And number three, it's very expensive. I was told that even with insurance covering some of it, it would still cost me like over $10,000 out of pocket to get this surgery. And therefore, there were many factors that I've weighed, and I decided over the past several years that I was just going to live with it. I was going to adjust my lifestyle so that I'm not constantly straining my back. I don't drive on the highway because of it, because that could be a big risk. If all of a sudden I get a shooting pain in my back or even a spasm in my leg, I could die on the highway, you know what I mean? And there's many things I've adjusted. Well, I have some good news for everyone. Over the past several months, I actually purchased this thing that's called a back stretcher. It's a machine that lays on the floor, and what it does is it grabs my feet and at my upper torso, holds my torso in place, and it actually pulls my legs and stretches my legs and spine. And because of this machine, I have dramatically relieved the pressure that I have on my spine to the point where, yes, I still have pain, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was a few months ago. If you remember back in June, I had even spoken about it and said, I'm in a lot of pain because I had just gone to E3 and then I went to the Too Many Games game convention, and the combination of the plane ride, the car rides, just sitting around, be traveling it destroyed my back. Well, over the past 2 months, my back has gotten much better. So thank you everyone who's been concerned. What I can tell you is as long as I continue to use this machine, what it's actually doing, not only relieving the pressure on my spine, but it's strengthening the muscles in my back. And I'm hoping that if I keep using it for several months, that my back will be strong enough to help me to wait for a better cure for what I have. They actually are doing research right now to find different ways to solve the problem with my back. There's a couple that are actually, I believe, up for FDA approval, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, that maybe in the next few years there'll be a way without intrusive surgery to fix my back, and we'll have to see about that. But as of now, I am feeling better, I am feeling healthier, and the back stretcher is definitely helping me a lot. Next question. Dear Phil, can we have an update on the Tobuscus situation? Cheers from Seasick. Real in a nutshell, because I don't want to go into the whole situation again. Last month I was furious because I started getting ads on my videos for Tobuscus. He was doing an ad campaign for NCAA Football 13 for Electronic Arts, and I thought, first of all, the ad campaign was a joke because the kid doesn't play sports games, doesn't even know anything about football. They just hired him because he has a lot of views on YouTube and he's somehow becoming known as Mr. Video Games, even though he's horrible at them and really shouldn't be represented that way. But they hired the guy to do this ad campaign, and I was getting ads for the game on my videos, but also for him. There's plugs for him and his channel. He's directly competing with my channel, gaming channel, on my videos. I flipped out and did a rant video about it. Apparently Tobuscus caught wind of it and actually tweeted me saying he's sorry he didn't realize that those ads were going to be pre and post roll and ads on people's gaming videos, which I really don't believe. I mean, you're doing an ad campaign for EA. Where else do you think those ads are going to go? But he said that he was going to make an honest effort to try to get those videos off of to get those ads off of my videos. In addition, I asked to speak with him personally, because really, my whole point wasn't that I was mad just for myself. I was mad for all gamers. I didn't think those ads deserved to be on anyone's gaming-related videos, and he really should have had a conscience when he was making this ad campaign to figure out where these ads were going. He has some kind of a moral responsibility. That was my point. And so I wanted to talk to him personally about it. He said that he would talk to me, and then he's completely blown me off for a month. I'm personally not surprised. I don't think that really he wanted to really do much of anything besides try to make himself look better and say, oh, well, I better stop it. Here's a bigger YouTuber who's mad at me, and, you know, I need to basically say something to stop the controversy. And so he did. But what I can say is this. I haven't seen another ad of his on my videos since that time. So maybe he did do something, or maybe the ad campaign just ran out because the game's not new anymore. I don't know. All I know is, as of now, no contact with him, no progress. I'm really not too worried about it. The ads are off my videos, so it's a closed issue for me. Next question. Man, I'm running out of time, too, so I need to start moving. Whew. Hey, Phil, did you hear that Nintendo Power, the magazine, is actually closing down? It's rather sad to see one of my favorite game magazines go away. What are your thoughts on this from Unemployed Jedi? You know, it is sad because Nintendo Power was one of the original major gaming magazines. I actually owned issue number 2 through like 50 or 60. I didn't get the first issue, but I subscribed after that one, and it is unfortunate that it really looks like a lot of the physical paper gaming media is starting to go away. The internet has become so prominent that there really is no demand for it anymore. In particular with Nintendo Power, they've had a bad couple of years simply because, think about it, the Wii was in decline. Very few major titles have been released for the Wii over the past several years. Really, the only thing that anyone's been talking about with Nintendo is the 3DS for the past year. And there was quite literally, before the release of the 3DS, there was like a 2-year run of Nintendo Power where they had like almost no content to put in the magazine. They had one game in their game review section, and the game review would be like mediocre. It was hilarious. You're like, this is all Nintendo's putting out, a bunch of mediocre games, and really not that many every month. And the magazine ended up being filler. They started doing retro things, going back and reflecting on retro gaming and things like that to try to fill their pages. So, in the case of Nintendo Power, it's a sad state. And the real sad part about it is the Wii U supposedly will be coming out soon. They would have a massive amount of stuff to cover, but basically the magazine publisher that owns them said we're giving up. We're throwing in the towel with these guys. They're just not selling anymore. So it's unfortunate. that this is happening, and what I can say is to everyone who works at Nintendo Power, I wish you the best, because I know that the job market is horrendous right now, and it sucks that you were at one of the biggest, most major gaming magazines, and it's dying because that business model is pretty much dead in the water at this point. So my best wishes are with you that you find another job, and I really am kind of sad that unfortunately this is where we are. Alright, we're going to move on to Twitter and Facebook questions. This one comes from Gnome Rev, and he says, Phil, were you nervous when you first started making videos, and how did you overcome your nervousness? To be completely honest, the way to overcome your nervousness is to just act like you're by yourself in the room. Really, realistically, when I started recording, those things you see from my earliest videos are my honest reactions to what's going on. There were some things that were happening in things like Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Mercenaries 2. That fucking pissed me off. I was just like, why is this happening? Look at this stupid game mode. Look at this here. And the commentary I was giving is my honest reaction to things that I would probably be saying to myself or thinking to myself if I weren't recording. So just be yourself, act like no one else is there, and just say what you feel as things are happening, and that's really how you're going to succeed. I never get nervous because I don't feel like I'm talking directly to, however many thousand people. I feel like I'm just playing a game and having fun doing it. Next question, this is from Darkness is Risen. He says, hey Phil, have you ever thought about doing a live show on YouTube? So this is a good time to give an update to everybody regarding streaming on YouTube. Basically, YouTube does have the capability of streaming. They've had it for over a year now, but it's been horrendous. No ability to moderate comments, no ability to actually set moderators, no ability to have multiple quality streams, meaning I'd have to do it only in one quality, and if your computer can't handle that quality, then, to hell with you. And no ability to control what ads run on the stream, which is how I would actually get paid on the stream. As of last month, I got an email from YouTube basically stating that all those things I just mentioned are finally going to be fixed by the end of this year. So, if these things do get fixed by the end of 2012, maybe I would possibly look into streaming. The problem there being, I don't have the equipment, I don't know how to do it, I don't know the first thing about it. I would basically have to rely on someone like Howard to either teach me or maybe even Machinima, because Machinima actually, earlier this year brought up that at one point they may start holding clinics or schools to teach us, the Machinima partners, how to stream. And so, there's a possibility in the future I may do something like that, but as of right now, YouTube still doesn't have the necessary capabilities to do it. Hopefully they will eventually, and we'll go from there once it's enabled. This one's from Black to the Futures. Black to the Futures. His question is, who did you main in Street Fighter 2 when you played it professionally? Did you focus on a character you liked or someone who was top tier? I usually do play with characters that I like when I play fighting games. Street Fighter 2 was a game where, as I got better at the game, I started off playing with characters like Blanca and E Honda, and then I evolved my game to the point where I picked better characters that were more tournament worthy, such as Vega. Now, when I play the game, I play with anybody because I can pretty much play each character at a decently high level. I'm not saying I'm a master level tournament winner with every character, but I know enough about every character to do some pretty impressive stuff with them. And I have fun playing with all the characters. But when I really first started out, I started with characters that I love. I got to a certain level with them, and then realized with characters such as like Blanca that you're never going to get above that level because the character is limited in what they can do. And then I branched out to other characters who I also liked but had better chances in tournaments, such as Vega. Next question from JK Wong 111, and he says, Phil, Rockstar's going back to San Andreas with Grand Theft Auto 5. What would you like to see returned or excluded from the last generation game? I would like to see Grand Theft Auto 5 and San Andreas be a serious subject matter, just like Grand Theft Auto 4 was in Liberty City. I know a lot of people are going to shit on me for me saying that. I actually enjoyed Grand Theft Auto 4 more than Grand Theft Auto San Andreas because I thought it had a more serious adult setting and theme to it, and I felt like I was living out this epic Hollywood, maybe like a Scorsese-style movie when I was playing the game. I really think San Andreas became almost cartoonish near the end, where you're using fucking jetpacks and you're doing crazy flying missions with jets and planes. I think they went overboard with that, and it was too much. That's just my personal taste. I know a lot of people love how over-the-top San Andreas got, and they actually want to see it get even more zany. My feeling is if you want to see that, go play Saints Row, And I think that Grand Theft Auto 5 should have a more adult tone to it. That's just my opinion. Next question is from Jarep Smith, and he says, are you going to try out JoJo's Bizarre Adventure HD at all? If you don't know what that is, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is kind of an obscure fighting game that was released during the 1990s around the same time as Street Fighter 3. It actually ran on the same hardware as Street Fighter 3. It is a game where you control what are called stands, which are kind of like spectral energies that are attached to each fighter. And it's kind of unique because you could do a combo with the fighter and then have the stand come out and do a move and then continue the combo. The game never caught on. It was never played competitively. It never really got a lot of popularity. And Capcom has decided, oh, we're going to re-release it. Well, my question is, why? Like, I don't remember anyone asking for it. And if you really want my honest opinion, I really feel that the game, it's a cash-in. Like, they know that if they just release a game, people will say, oh, it's kind of dead for fighters right now, I'll go try it out. The game really isn't fun at competitive levels. And I played it in the arcades, but I never got so into it that I really felt like I ever wanted to play it again. I wasn't a fan of the anime, and therefore, no, I'm not going to play JoJo's Bizarre Adventure HD. I don't really feel like playing just a fighting game just for the sake of playing it. There are some really good fighting games and bigger titles like Tag Tournament 2 and Dead or Alive 5 coming out in September that I will be checking out. I'm running out of time, so let's get into it. From BlueBuster92, he says, you've been very secretive with your vacation plans with Panda Lee. Why is that? I'm going on vacation starting this weekend, not returning for a full week afterwards. People have been asking me, yeah, why aren't I revealing where we're going? And the answer is this. Even though it may be being really overprotective, and really maybe it's not needed, but it's worth saying, if I were to reveal a month ago where we were going on vacation, there would be a chance that probably some people would try to meet up with us or find us where we're going. And giving people a month of time to plan, they might even say, well, I live in Florida, or I live in Vegas, or I live in New York, or I live in, wherever we're going, and say, I'm going to try to show up, and I'm going to, try to be there and kind of, be there for their vacation. That's not the point. The point of a vacation is that Panda Lee and I go and relax and we have fun, and we don't have to worry about doing footage, and we don't have to worry about meeting up with the fans. And not to say that we don't love meeting up with the fans. We do love meeting up with the fans. But the fact is we don't want to be meeting up with the fans during our vacation. If we happen to run into one, okay, that's cool. I'll shake your hand, whatever. But we're there to relax. And we have set times like these conventions that we've been going to, Too Many Games MagFest, when we will meet up with fans very willingly, but this is not the time. And so, just to prevent any kind of awkwardness or whatever, or let's be honest, there are some people out there that are probably really overzealous and may think, oh, I'm going to take my vacation the same week as Phil, and I'm going to go right where he's going, and I'm going to hang out with him. I don't want any kind of misconceptions like that happening. We're going there to have a personal vacation together. I actually have not gone on a vacation in a really, really long time. Everything I've done was either for competitive Street Fighter or for now my YouTube career. This is the first thing I'm really doing that I'm going on vacation. So I didn't want to say, yeah, we're going to California, to Hollywood, and, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, we're going on the Walk of Fame and we run into 20 fans while we're there, and they're all, kind of trying to hover around us. That's not the goal there. So that's why we've been kind of secretive about it. Plus, let's be honest, it's kind of neat that I haven't told anyone where we're going, and now there's all this speculation. A lot of people think that I've actually given away hints in gameplay videos of where we're going. I guess you're going to find out if you think those hints were correct or not. You're going to find out very shortly. So stay tuned. Okay. Couple more quick questions, because I literally have less than 5 minutes to go at this point. Yep, that's true. Let's see here. From Vincent, he asks, will you be buying a Wii U? Here's the answer. I would love to buy a Wii U. This is actually during the time that this is now my career, being on YouTube. This would be the first opportunity for me to premiere and debut a new console to the public. Problem is, no one is accepting pre-orders for the Wii U because Nintendo does not have a release date for it. They keep saying, oh, holiday 2012, holiday 2012. Well, when the fuck is it coming out? I'll be honest with everyone, I really don't feel it's coming out for the holiday, because here's the thing. A lot of rumors have been going around that maybe they're going to be releasing the console during Black Friday week. That would be the biggest mistake ever. Retailers are already fucking slammed and destroyed during Black Friday. That would be the most disrespectful thing that Nintendo could possibly do, would be to release their new overhyped console during that week. It would be disastrous for retail stores in America, okay? They could release it before then, but if they were going to, why haven't they announced it? I really get the feeling they're not ready. And so if they release it afterwards, the perfect time would be the month of December. But I really feel at this point it's already end of August, September, October, November, December. I don't know if they're really going to realistically be releasing it during the holiday season. However, there is a press conference coming up in September in New York City, the Nintendo store in New York, and people are really heavily rumoring that the Wii U's release date will be released then. If it is, I'll probably be the first in line to pre-order and try to get it, so that's that. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I lost my place on the page. Kevin asks about Wrestlemania packages, because I did hint at going to Wrestlemania next year with John Rambo because it's being held in New Jersey. Unfortunately, the only thing that's been released right now are travel packages, not just getting the tickets separately and then making your own travel arrangements. The travel packages are upwards of $7,000, and that one actually includes not only the Wrestlemania tickets, but Raw, your accommodations at a hotel, food, and also actually meeting and having personal time with a WWE superstar during fan access. We're not interested in those packages because they suck. We actually saw the hotels, they have you staying in New York, and then you have to drive to New Jersey for WrestleMania and drive back. That's a horrible drive. We don't want to do that. We're going to wait for the tickets to be released separately. We're probably going to get them that way and then plan our trip around that. Augustin asks, would I consider going to Screwattack Gaming Convention if they have another one? I actually was planning on going to the last one they had over 2 years ago, but I canceled my trip because the announcement was made that the Super Battle Opera qualifiers were the same weekend, and therefore I ended up going to that instead. If they were to have another one, I would consider going because they actually have this cool thing called the Iron Man of Gaming. It's an all-around gaming competition. I feel I would do really well in that simply because I play so many different games in a wide variety of games. Last question is about fighting games. He asks, is actually Thomas from Facebook asks, Phil, do you think that fighting games will ever go back to the way they were? Because in 2007 when Street Fighter 4 was released and then subsequently now Marvel vs. Capcom, it really seems that these games have had their names drugged through the dirt because they've become so mainstream and so watered down that a wide variety of people can play them. And I agree, the gameplay of these games has become insanely oversimplified, okay? To the point where a lot of people who played games like Street Fighter 3, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Super Turbo, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, have completely retired because they tried playing the new games and realized how watered down they are and they don't like them. I'm actually one of those people. I don't really like the new versions of these games. I think they've become too watered down and they're not really viable for a serious competitive setting. Of course, now that I say that, you have this year was like the biggest Evo ever, so obviously it's appealing to a more wide stream, a more mainstream group, but I don't think that that's necessarily making the quality of the games better. And if you want my honest opinion, I don't think we're going to go back to that kind of genesis of the competitive gaming with fighting games that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s when it was really popular, but we were set on having really difficult competitive games. I think the games are going to become, if anything, even easier to play because they want to sell more copies. And that's what it comes down to. It's not about the competition anymore, it's about making money. Even the people who play the games play them to make money. The people who sell the games sell them to make money and not necessarily to make a quality product. I think it's a lot of content, but it's watered down content. It's too easy, and I am disappointed because I would love to see the days of CVS 2 and Third Strike and all that stuff come back. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, people are asking for a Legends tournament. Why can't we bring back Marvel 2 and have a Legends qualifier tournament and have those players who have retired come back to play these games? I don't realistically see Capcom making games of that competitive quality anymore, and that's a sad fact, but that's my honest opinion. Alright, that's it for this episode of Ask the King. I know it was quite a lot of questions to get through. Thanks for tuning in. Next month, obviously, last Thursday of the month, we'll have another one unless something happens, but the thread is already up on my forum at thekingofhate.com if you want to submit your question ahead of time. And then, of course, as always, you can submit your questions via Twitter and or Facebook the day of filming. So, thanks a lot for all those great questions. Please stay tuned because there's lots of gameplay coming up in the next couple of months as we enter the hardcore gaming season of 2012. I'll see you for gameplay then. Peace out.